my name is Laura, and you turn that around so you can see me. I thought I would record some videos for YouTube about my experience. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am 52 years young. As far as personally, I have 5 children. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 1 grandchild that was due yesterday and has not shown his face yet. So we are very excited about that. But what I want to record daily, hopefully, is about my weight issues. I'll tell you a little bit about my history. I was overweight. I remember being in 5th grade and being made fun of for being fat. I remember being in junior high and high school and always feeling like I was, heavier. I wasn't the heaviest, but I was heavier. I did not have the self-esteem. I thought I was heavier than what I was. Looking back at the pictures, I didn't look a lot heavier than most of the average girls in our class. But I felt like I was. So, and I know I was some overweight, definitely. Anyway, fast forwarding 5 kids later, I struggled with my weight the entire time. At one time, I went from like 180 something after my first child. We had moved and went into the military, and they had a gym. So I got addicted to going to the gym. They were open 24 hours. It was a military police base, an installation, and that's the only MOS they had there. So it was all men. None of the wives used the gym, which was weird. But this was back like 1990, so a long time ago. But anyway, got addicted to the gym. I'd go twice a day, no problem, Lost weight, got down to like 140, I think, and I felt really good. I looked pretty good. Looking back at the pictures, I looked pretty good. And then we came back after 3 years. I got pregnant, had a miscarriage. I got pregnant 8 years later. So my first and second child are 8 years apart. And I had him. 15 months later, I had my other son. And I was pretty heavy at this point. Then I might have been in the 170s or so. I got divorced, remarried, had a baby, had another baby. It was pretty heavy. I reached 256, and I went to a consultation about having gastric bypass. A friend of mine had it, was very successful, changed her life. So I decided to have it. This was in 2009. I had the surgery. I went from, my starting weight at the day of surgery was 240. I went from 240 down to 124 within less than a year. And I maintained that weight for quite a while, a couple years. And then I went to about 140, if I remember correctly. And then I was like, oof, slap, got to get this weight off. So I did. It was pretty easy, actually. And I started, after a couple years then, I started about 4 years ago, I think it was. I started not feeling good. And the only thing that I could handle eating was yogurt, Greek Oikos 000 yogurt. I also had, shortly after I had my gastric bypass, I developed reactive hypoglycemia. So that in itself is a balancing act as far as my diet, which just instills in me more that I have to do high protein and low carb, which is what we're supposed to be doing to begin with. Anyway, the only thing I could eat for months and months was just Greek yogurt. Couldn't eat anything else. I was just bothered by anything I tried. So I remember we ordered yogurt from Walmart personally by the case, because that's all I could eat all day long. I'd eat 6-7 yogurts. It was sick. And I know I was a weirdo, but that's how it was. Sorry, I'm driving home from the gym. Well, no, that's not supposed to happen. Okay. What happened was I started having these pains in my stomach, a lot of pain, coming and going, and I'd go to the doctor and didn't know what the deal was. And then it got so bad one day at work. I work as a CNA at a nursing facility, a long-term nursing home. It got so bad the one day that I did end up going to the emergency room. And I believe the test they did was a CAT scan without dye, if I remember correctly. Again, this is like 4 years ago. They didn't find anything. The next day I went to work. I'm suffering, Saturday suffering. Sunday, which happened to be Father's Day, I suffered so much at work. I just couldn't stand it. But I made it through my shift. The RN supervisor, I remember her like checking my stats and stuff, saying, "Oh, you're okay, you know." Well, I went to our camper. We were throwing a Father's Day picnic after work at our camper at the campground. And I'm inside trying to get things around, and company was coming, and they were outside, and my brother and sister-in-law opened up the door, and I just fell to my knees in pain, just excruciating pain. They said, you got to go to the hospital, man. I mean, I couldn't stand it. I thought I was just being ripped apart, and it was worse than labor, I would say. I mean, it was ridiculous. But anyway, they managed, my boyfriend and my brother tried to carry me over to the car because I could not walk. And any movement they made with my body was just excruciating. Like I was trying to stretch my body and keep it like stretched far apart. And they got me in the vehicle, and every bump on the way there, oh my God, I was just screaming like a lunatic. We got to the ER, and would you believe it? They made us wait and sit in the ER. I think it was like 7 hours, and I'm screaming my head off. People in the ER were yelling at the nurses and stuff, saying, "Look, obviously something is wrong with her. Like, you have got to do something." And they weren't, well, had to wait, you know. They were bringing people in by ambulance, taking them straight back, you know. Out here I am. I mean, and I have a pretty high tolerance of pain. It was literally killing me, literally. Here, they finally took me back. They made me drink this stupid drink. They did a CAT scan with dye. They found out immediately that I had a ruptured duodenal ulcer, mostly due to the fact that I took NSAIDs after my bypass, which you are not supposed to do, but my doctor was aware of it because I had fibromyalgia and arthritis, and instead of taking prescription meds, she had, you know, I was taking NSAIDs, and she knew this, and she knew I had bypass. But anyway, ruptured duodenal ulcer. They rushed me to emergency surgery. They had my boyfriend sign off on the papers because they couldn't get a hold of any of my family. It was like after midnight by then. And it was nuts. They had my family prepare for me not to make it through surgery. It was scary. They almost left me die in the emergency room, in the waiting room. Anyway, after this, I got down to 114. Now I'm 5'7"-ish. 114, I looked like death, okay, by the time I came out of the hospital. Slowly, I gained the weight back to like 124. I stayed there in the 120s, you know, for again, up until about a year or so ago. It slowly started creeping up. The beginning of this year, I was about 163, I think it was. About 6 weeks ago, I was like 170 something. I'd have to look at my picture to tell you. And the weight was just piling on. And I knew I was eating stuff I shouldn't be eating. I was sluggish and tired and no energy. It was a nightmare. Anyway, I was on light duty from work because I had a shoulder injury for the 10 months prior to this, so since last July. And about a month or so ago, I went back on the floor. And I weighed myself the other day, since I'm back on full duty. I weighed myself the other day and I had lost like 9 pounds, almost 10. I was so excited.